grab your favorite beverage, kick up your feet as you ascend with me into the joy portal of soul reflections, fresh perspectives, fun ideas, and wisdom. Light to light and heart to heart. Smile and breathe even deeper as together we will soar above the perception of all hurdles and shine brightly as the light we are. Namaste, everyone, and welcome to Light, Laughter, and Lattes. My name is Geri Habstritt. I'm a Self-Ascension intuitive counselor, medical intuitive, Avesa quantum healer, and your friend and soul connection for the next hour. So happy Resurrection Day, everyone. And for those of you out there who are celebrating Easter, the show will air on Wednesday, but I'm recording it today, and so we have the energy of resurrection with us now, as well as this beautiful, full, illuminated supermoon that just happened a couple of days ago that is illuminating everything in our lives. And so what is it illuminating in your life? Hopefully joy, hopefully peace, and hopefully some massive creative energy. And so really it has a lot to do with, I'm calling it the 3 F's. So what are you fueling yourself with? And that can be food, or that can be meditation, that can be what you're spending your time doing, walks in nature. What are you doing for fun? Fun fuels your frequency, and frequency is a great energy booster. It is a great immune system booster. And we all know that all the synchronicities happen when we're in a state of fun. And also your focus. Focus is super important, especially after a full moon. And hopefully your focus is not on fear. That is the greater energy that's happening on the planet that wants us captured by it. And we don't have to give it our focus. We can use that focus to fuel our dreams. We can use our focus to fuel a new life, to fuel even a resurrection. And so the goal of my show is to bring you some ideas for this time, some inspiration, maybe a timeout in your little retreat to help you renew yourself in a new way, because I believe we are entering a new world. And so there's no better way to do this than to introduce to you my guest. His name is Rainbow Eric. He's known as a Rainbow Medicine Shaman and a professional love machine. And I know that he will bring you some great ideas and some great energy to help this period in time. So welcome, Eric.
Awesome. Thank you. Very happy to be here. Happy Easter to you and to everyone out there.
Are you feeling the resurrection energy?
I like it. Yeah, I am. I feel inspired. I got up this morning and had a Kundalini practice and some singing bowl chant time and some prayer time at my altar, and just really felt into, I really relate to what you're saying about, not giving over to the fear energy and giving into the focus energy. I really like that, and recognizing like what you're giving your focus to. So as I was sitting at my altar this morning, I just thought about all the times that I've sat at my altar or in any kind of, holy space or sacred space, in the equivalent, whether that be in nature or the studio or just with my friends and family in any kind of level of presence, and just thought about every time that my breath has kind of led me into beginning again. And this idea of me coming out of old cycles, old habits, old patterns, and the resurrection of self, through self, for self, out of self, into self. And it seems more auspicious this season, this Easter, than any other that I've ever lived. I mean, I'm turned 38 this year, so my 38th Easter here, and this one seems maybe more poignant and crucial than ever. And, talking about that resurrection or rebirth energy, I think instead of just applying that towards, an ascended master from a time long ago, maybe we could embody that for all of us, of just like, what does that symbolize? And maybe we could talk about that a little bit, about resurrection or about rebirth, or how we might reframe the season that we're all experiencing right now.
Well, yeah, and isn't it something how we've all been sent home, literally, and our home is really a symbol of our hearts. And so on some level, it feels like, Gaia needed a break. She really needed this time out. I mean, people in India are seeing the Himalayas for the first time.
Exactly.
So I know you're in LA. Are you seeing your neighbors for the first time?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, clean, just reports of the cleanest air that, LA's seen in quite some time, which is true. And also, yeah, neighbors, like, on social distance walks down the street. And it really, I love that you said that about that, bringing us home, and the fact that we're all on this stay-at-home order. And then suddenly, I've been finding this interesting sort of paradox where when I think about home, I think about all the things that I hold, most close and dear to my heart, and, my values, my passions, my loved ones, my experiences. And then I also think about, the community that I experience and how my home is a part of this bigger network. And then the strange experience of, having moved to Southern California in the last few years, of just not, I'm from Idaho, and from a place where everybody knows your name kind of experience, and lots of community and lots of home. And now I'm here, and I try to be really present when I'm in new places and try to connect, with the folks that are in my new neighborhood or in my new community. And the energy of this city is, so large that it's not that kind of open, friendly experience of the Pacific Northwest. And it's been more challenging to get to know my neighbors, or to even have, access into connection, because everyone is just so busy maintaining, their little lives. And now that this has happened, it's this weird experience where, everyone goes outside into their yard or with their families, and suddenly you're seeing your neighbors for maybe the first time across the street or up the street. And then, but there's this kind of quarantine energy, and so there's this, like, come to the fence and meet your neighbor from the other side of the fence, and kind of chatting and communicating and getting to know these people maybe for the very first time, lots of folks. And then simultaneously, when we go inside, now everyone's, jumping on board of getting online and communicating. And so I find that the people I really want to be with, who are my best, closest, dearest, loved ones and community, who are in various places all over the world, but primarily in the Pacific Northwest, now I'm getting all these phone calls and Skypes and Zooms and FaceTimes and, Facebook live chats and all of these different ways that people are connecting. And so I'm finding this strange experience where, we're told to be really present and create connections where we are. But then now that's like me spending all this time online with the people that are all over in these various places. But then when I go outside and want to connect with my neighbors, the very first time it's starting to happen. But now I can't go to their house, and I can't actually get close to them, and I can't really get to know them. So it's been kind of a trip, just like really feeling into the state of family and community and home energy. And how have you been kind of experiencing that or interfacing with that?
Oh, it's been so interesting. It is such a paradox. On some level, I know we're all creators. We're co-creators. So on some level, we co-created this whole experience on a planetary level. And I think we're all getting our needs met in some way. And for some people, not a fun way. I mean, resurrection is not fun. Dark nights of the soul are not fun, but you always come out the other side better for it. And and so I'm finding that I scheduled things way ahead of time, not knowing this was going to happen, but it ended up being absolutely perfect. I had some skin cancer on my face, on both sides of my face, and planned it way ahead, and it turned out to happen right during this quarantine time. And I didn't have to take off work because I was already put off work. My rules by the doctors were, no dancing, no yoga, no tipping your head upside down. And basically I wanted to hide because I had bandages on my face. I'm like, wow, this was perfect. I mean, absolutely. And I'm finding, and I needed a timeout. I was moving too fast like the rest of the world. Yeah. I needed time to create. I needed time to build my business, to work on my website, I'm now cooking in a whole new way. I've eliminated grains and sugar, and besides being a vegan, so that's a whole new way of cooking, and I didn't have time to focus on myself in doing some of those self-care things. And so this has honestly been great for me, like it's great for Gaia. So, and there are people out there who are very much still in victim consciousness. And, we need to get, if we're caught up in those, we need to get a shake sometimes. I mean, I had my victim consciousness journey. I had to move through that myself. And it was a nightmare. I literally broke my brain I was like at 20% brain capacity when I went on this machine. And I know that I had to go through all those things in preparation for this time now. And I think we all have been prepared for this, and whatever else is more to come. I mean, who knows? I'm sure you have, correct?
Yeah. And thanks. I mean, it's nice to hear a little bit about your process and how, taking lemons and making lemonade, so to speak, like the fortuitous nature of how that lined up with, you having to have the skin surgery and then you making the most of it. I think it's really beautiful about taking the time. But I agree with you in the sense that, everyone is being sort of invited into what we've been running from, or what we've been on top of, or why we've been habituated into staying busy. And I feel that we've all been raised in a modern world, in a modern culture that has had us wired in kind of an outside-in setting, where we're trained to plan and stay busy and build for the future and build what I want to become and how I'm going to get there and what do I need to acquire, and this sense of accomplishment and proving yourself, and a sense of validation that's out of yourself, a sense of self-worth that's based on energies out of yourself, connections that are out of yourself. And then, we're shamed as children and judged and punished if, we don't do a good job, or we don't get it right, or we're not the best or the fastest or the smartest or the prettiest, or, have the nicest looking clothing or cars or houses, and this kind of competitive outside in energy. And then because we were raised, in the sense of defense, right? When we're being judged and punished, we want to defend, and then we want to justify why we're worthy, or why we're worthy of love. And then we have to prove that, and as that builds over and over and over, year after year after year, we all develop this armor, and we develop these kind of projected personalities and these sort of overinflated egos that are wired for problem solving, that are kind of wired in fight or flight, and they're wired in kind of a state of projection and a fear state ultimately. And I think what we find, and it's been in my experience working with clients over the last couple decades, we find that in times of crisis, in the external world, or when things don't go our way, or maybe when things start to unravel, what surfaces are all of those feelings that, went unexpressed, unfelt, unrecognized, unwitnessed, and that, we call that the collective unconscious or our personal unconscious or the shadow, right? And now that we're in this state of everyone being forced to halt, to go inside, what humans are now interfacing with is a lifetime of unfelt feelings, unfelt pain, unfelt shame, unfelt guilt, unfelt anxiety, this sense that there isn't enough or that I'm not enough. And so I have also been seeing that as you were fortunate enough to come into doing this work earlier, and like you said, facing that victim consciousness or finding that victory over self. And I'm sure that came with lots of deep diving. You mentioned yoga and meditation and health food, and you've had access to those things and have found that knowledge, and you've worked your butt off, I'm sure, to integrate that and to climb out of that. And now the whole world is sort of nailed into the shadow right now. Our feet have been nailed. We've been grounded and saddled, and bridled into our shadow energy and into that pain energy. And so I love the symbol of Easter and resurrection, of just sending out, instead of it being a hindrance, instead of it being something that's wrong, actually maybe reframing that in the sense of, maybe this is exactly what's right. And if this is what's right, how do we learn how to support one another in feeling our feelings, in connecting, in feeling safe to open up, to look at why I've built this life in this outside in setting, why I've built this life where I feel like I'm living towards the future and running from the past and missing the moment. And now, here we are in this space, in this moment, recognizing that maybe the world as we know it is forever changed. And what pace do I want to live my life at? What setting do I want to experience reality through? And taking the time now that we have it to really go in with some inquiry and go in with some practice and really put the time in. And then also, how do we reach out? How do we reach out to one another? How do we share that? How do we find different connections? And, regardless of our pasts, our origins, our ethnicities, our sexes, our genders, our sizes, our classes, and instead just our humanity, right? And being able to recognize, wow, we are all in this together. We are all on this ride together. So that's I love that it's Easter. I love that it's resurrection.
No, it's just almost too perfect. And it's like we're being forced into the mirror, whether we want to go look or not. And,
exactly.
And we're being forced, like, how many people are having to really spend a lot of time with their partner?
Family and their kids and
right, and their children. I mean, and how many people are going to maybe go back or not to the jobs that they've been in after they've had this time out?
Right. Yeah, and a big awakening for all of us, And what I think is interesting is, for me, kind of, I feel in a similar way I've been sort of prepared and kind of waiting for this time, sort of having seen through the illusion of that mirror, or, seeing through the kind of Maya energy of seeing within the dream and recognizing that the pace that we've been going at is so unsustainable on every level, mentally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, environmentally, politically, seeing how it, and then now that we're here, the tools that those beings who were fortunate enough, consciousness or awakening or a level of connection, prior to now, I find that all of them suddenly, sort of way showers unto themselves,
right? And becoming sort of this leader or teacher or a friend, or someone that is able to hold presence in the face of this very challenging, chaotic time. Suddenly you become able, from that place, and that then the work that you've done now give you this, be able to serve and share and help others who maybe have yet to have the opportunity, or didn't have the privilege, or didn't to come into that level of connection and awakening and doing that inner work. And I feel very excited about that. I feel very just like a big sense of relief, like, finally that the beings that have been kind of like fighting on the front lines, for generations to kind of pave the way for this energy. And now here we are, and seeing people in all sort of situations, like going to the grocery store and witnessing how people are all responding, and folks that I maybe wouldn't quote unquote call spiritual, or like look at and think that they're spiritual people in this, awakened, enlightened new energy or something, just recognizing that, having humanity is a spiritual experience, being in a body and being loving and just sharing, connection and joy and smiling and, letting someone go through the door for you, or letting someone go in front of you, or just, any amount of like simple humanistic gestures that can help that connection and help this, maintain a sense of love and worth and witness, in the face of all the chaos. And you're right. We don't know, where this is going. We don't know what's going to happen next. And what I do know is I can stay in myself. I can stay present. I can stay loving. I can stay positive, while also really recognizing that it does feel scary, and that fear is exactly right. Like, if people are feeling fear, that's exactly right. And anywhere that there's fear inside that they haven't been able to feel, now suddenly we have the time. Like, let's get in there. Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about why it feels scary. Tell me about why you feel sad or angry, or, the terror of the unknown. And tell me about what that brings up for you. And hey, are you open to some tools that might help you with that? Are you open to creating a different story? And can we empower one another to do that work?
Yeah, and I think this is like a grand opportunity to release fear. Anytime when the predominant energy on the planet is something like fear, that means there's the opposite end also happening. So there's an opportunity for everyone right now to totally get in there and release fear. And so what is the ultimate fear right now? Well, probably death. And so most of us who have been on this path really know that we can't die. And so that fear is gone for me anyways. I would miss people around me, but I guess you can be with them too, just not in the same way. And I guess there's other fears too that it's hitting. It's really hitting the first chakra, feeling of safety. And I know money's a big one for people, but there's always an opportunity to do the opposite. I've had so many challenging times, and I'm sure you had as well. And when I get to the other side of it, and I take the time to harvest the pearls of whatever it is, because really it takes the pearl to be a pearl by rubbing against the grit, right? And right. So when you make it through the grit, there's always a better person on the other side. And so for those people who use this time to really go inside and harvest, what am I really afraid of? Can I just let go of this? Like you said, can I just dig in and do what I need to scream it out? Really decide, is it valid? It's like the boogeyman under the bed. If a young child watches a scary movie long enough, they think it's really there, even though it's not. And that's kind of what this whole virus thing feels like, is a great big, it doesn't have to be part of your experience, but it is if you let it be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, really. I mean, I think you're right on. I think the place where, in that foundational energy, right? I mean, security, safety, connection in the earth, in the self, in the body, nourishing relationships. And when we lose that safety and that connection, that security with fear or the sense of, a lack of control, I think that the place where that outside in setting I mentioned before, it wires this false sense of control. And we've been living in this entire modern reality that has been based on a false sense of control. Mm-hmm. And now that suddenly, the rug's been pulled out from underneath the financial system and the government systems across the world, and everyone's told to stay at home, not sure when they'll get to go back to work. Those of us, those that aren't fortunate enough to be able to work from home or work online, the service industry, humans around the world, and those industries that aren't allowed to work right now, this is hundreds of millions of people that don't, live paycheck to paycheck, or pool their resources with their community or families and are barely making it. And so the fear of, how am I going to feed myself? How am I going to keep a roof over my head? What's going to happen next? Are we going to be taken care of? I mean, so of course, on that level, on a survival level, just a biological level, fear is exactly right. I mean, fear is actually what keeps you alive. But in the place that it wires to this feeling of not being in control, this feeling of feeling trapped, and like that you need to, fight to kind of survive. And yet, what are you supposed to do, right? Because money has been the place that has equated this false sense of security. And then I've been able to use that to maintain this reality that hasn't actually been rooted in true sustainability, and true kind of integration and true connection, where all of us are living in a realm of abundance, or in a realm of plenty, where we're nourished and, we feel that we all have a value and a place and a purpose, and that the culture cares about us, or the government cares about us. And so it's really challenging right now, because I mean, it's a privilege to be able to be here together today. It's a privilege to social distance. It's a privilege to be able to wash my hands in warm water and take a shower and to afford the things that I need. And part of what I'm hoping that comes out of this time is those of us that have been living with this, this false sense of safety and security in this system where, if you're in the developed world, you've been living sort of like in a royalty kind of situation, even if you don't realize it. And for the vast majority of the rest of the world who haven't been living in a level of abundance or plentum, and are living day to day, finding meals day to day, and kind of just barely scraping by, and they're the ones working in the factories and working in the fields and working in all of the extraction industries and making all of the things that we use. Suddenly now, here we are, getting to actually question and look at, wow, what is all this stuff, and how safe am I really, and does any of this really matter, and what about everyone else, that has already been living kind of in this energy. And then I think it really helps kind of shake people awake to recognize the dream and to recognize, the constructs. But then inside that is, well, what are we going to do from this time? How do I embrace those fears, like you said? How do I embrace that unknown? Is it true that I'm actually powerless? And where does that voice come from? And is it true that I'm not actually safe? And if so, why? Or what would I need to feel safe? Or what would I need to feel power or feel connection? And what I find emerges out of those times, are kind of some universal truths, which are the things that we all actually need to experience safety, which is, our breath, our connection to the earth, like clean water, clean air, healthy food, love, touch, connection, value, a witness, and us getting to participate in that as reality, as the life that we live. And so when people talk about going back to normal, or they just want to go back to normal, I think our normal was terribly imbalanced, and many of us just didn't even know it, and who's to say that our fate is somehow more valuable than another person's fate when what they were born into has had them in this level of slavery, and then we've been over in our world of privilege with kind of an ignorance and a blindness. But now that somehow it's taking our resources away, or our very threat that we might not have a roof or we might not have food, suddenly we get to actually understand from a felt experience what it might be like for many of the other people. And so I think that we're really in a crucial and really powerful sort of window here of what we can do as a global sort of family and a global community. And the beautiful thing is that the practices can be unanimous, right? Practices to honor one another, to honor life, right? What do we actually need to honor and celebrate life? And that can happen in any language, and that can happen in any body, and just helping to really steward that is something that I feel very excited about during this time. I feel just like my eyes are wide open and my heart is wide open, and I feel deeply rooted and prepared to kind of be on this ride with the rest of the world, and hopefully we can steer the ship, in a way, help guide and steer the ship in a way that will elicit a time of peace on the planet, and a time of, connectedness through all nations, and find a way to bridge, between technology and old technology, and bridge between cultures and, belief systems. So I feel really, really excited about this time. I feel very alive and grateful to be born at this time and be on this planet at this time.
Oh, well, you're bringing up so many things. I'm listening to what you're saying, and it just feels so strongly that this reset, and it really feels like a planetary reset. Like, wait, no, things have gotten crazy. We're just going to stop. Time out. Everyone go to your room. We're going to take a break here. We're going to take a look. Look at ourselves. Look at your family. Look at your husband. Look at your partners. Look what you're doing. Look how you're feeling. And now we're just going to sit here for a cycle. And I feel like this is going to be like a 3-month cycle. And we're in this big birthing chamber. We've just had this massive moon to help bring up everything that you maybe weren't even looking at. It's going to come up whether you want to or not. And what do we want to do with this? Now, like when we come out of this area, when we get to open our doors and walk out and go hug our neighbors, how do we want to be? We have the opportunity right now to mold that. And I see people doing some beautiful things, some online concerts. I've been watching Melissa Etheridge in Los Angeles every day. She's doing a live show from her living room, and she went through her own awakening through cancer and has some great awakening songs. And you can send her messages. You can talk to her via Twitter and ask for a song. And so it's like bridging the gap between people. I'm watching people put on their own, I got to have the good news. So I don't know his name from The Office, John Krasinski or something. He's been doing some good news from his office and his house and been showing reports that people are sending him from all over the world of beautiful things that are happening, through the windows and workers out in the streets dancing I got a video from someone in Poland the other day of, the police officers out in the street dancing to YMCA in front of an apartment complex while they're looking out the window.
Oh my
And
God.
so, I mean, there's all these things that are happening on the sidelines, and all these things, we have an opportunity to really come together. Like, we can be so strong and so creative and so loving that we can all come together in such a way that when we come out of this, we could have forever changed the world. And I really believe we are strong enough. I mean, I just believe so firmly in love. That love just conquers all, no matter what. And that we could really use this time to completely turn this train around in a whole new direction.
Yeah, I hope so. Testify to that. Amen to that. I'll to that. I feel that. I hope so too, Geri. And I think, we're going to do everything we can in our power and in our lives. I mean, I think you're exactly right. Those little precious moments, like, elementary school, kindergarten, kind of like gold star, caught you being good, like things, or little things. I think have an opportunity to kind of take our inner Care Bear and bring that out into the world and paint a new life experience, with our energy and with our action, and offer that as a way to bridge in humanity, and then sharing your creative gifts. I love that, hearing about, the way that various artists and various, city workers are just taking time to play and offer some lightheartedness into this situation, and which is how we should be living anyway, right?
Yes. Life is a tapestry of creation energy, and we're constantly weaving.
Yeah.
We're constantly weaving into the tapestry what we want, and so we got to weave a lot of goodness into this time right now.
Yeah.
And the world wants you to be focused the other way. It's conspiring. I believe this is kind of an attack on consciousness, that there is a conspiracy to have us misfocused and to be focused on fear and to not be putting out the creative vibes and the love energies. And so it really is a practice to maintain energy and maintain focus and not get caught in the other direction, so that we're weaving a good future for ourselves and the next generation.
Yeah, I love that. I hope for that, and that the energy of people, being told to social distance and isolate and then avoid and like hearing all of these things that are just kind of scare tactics, that are used to separate and divide, and they have been for generations and generations and generations, and it's the finding, I think, that tricky balance of being able to listen and follow the guidelines and suggestions of how to keep us safe, regardless of if we think that is true or not true, or that's how viruses work or don't work, or that's, and there's all kinds of different belief systems and things that people have right now about what is happening, what isn't happening, what can we believe. Regardless, I think the place of, following along and honoring how to keep ourselves safe and each other safe, but then let's make a game out of it then, right? Like, let's make it fun. Let's turn it into some clown kind of opportunity where we can, get creative. And I love it. I love witnessing all the fun masks that now people
right?
Like bedazzled and bejeweled face masks, and like, it's great. Like, finding a way to just like add some color and some flavor into that experience, and it changes then. It doesn't have to be some crazy fearful thing that it's all doomed and everyone going to buy their guns, and it's just wait a minute, like, it's not. And I think that's really reflective of equally responding with a sense of like, wow, we should be prepared and who knows what's coming, while also then being like, well, wait a minute, what is this showing me, or what is this bringing up, right? Like, why do I feel like I'm responding in this fear and I've got to protect myself? I mean, going back to what you said at the beginning, Like, we're energy in a body on borrowed time anyway, and we're all headed down a track that ends with a destination where the light inside this vessel and vehicle leaves when my body's done, So yes, I want to try to stay alive and I want to thrive while I'm here, but to give over to some energy that it's kill or be killed or something. I mean, I think that's the consciousness that has got us into this mess. I think that's part of what we're overcoming in this whole conquest of outside in kind of setting. How do we reconnect into an energy that says, like, wait a minute, this life is a miracle and a gift, that my energy is here in this body and I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm going to get the most out of it. And like, I don't want to have to kill to honor that journey. Like, I don't want to have to try to come down to some place where I'm going to add a few more years to my life or something. I'm not attached to the body enough to try to say, there's a whole nother spiritual journey ahead of us, beyond this body. And so I love that you said that about not being afraid of death. And for those beings that are, I think that this is an opportunity for us to go inside that shadow and go inside that fear. And the truth is, there's nothing we can do about that end destination, no matter how hard we try to fight it, no matter how much control, no matter how perfect we try to make ourselves or live or follow the rules or do everything right. And that in itself is what sets us free, to recognize death isn't that something's wrong. This journey, like, you get to the end and you get to liberate into another story. And I think the real question is, how did you live while you were here? What did you do with your opportunity in this miracle experience? And I really like helping folks kind of find the alchemy through their fear and using that like seeds that become flowers, that become, getting to really find joy to live your life. And I think that should be a universal human experience where we all actually are supported into finding safe connection and celebrating love and creativity and feeling that rebirth ourselves into more magic and more love and more equality and more connection. And then that carries us through life, knowing that when we leave here, we really, really lived and we really celebrated and we really had, hopefully a lot of fun and a really great time. And that could be tomorrow, right? Like that could be me walking out tomorrow. I take it out of the law that happens to me, but that could be. We don't actually know when our time is up. And so I think just being able to take this chance and to really get into what's in there and what work can I do and how can I harvest off of previous pains and previous hurts. And then with that, how can I really live with what precious and valuable time that I actually have and what really matters? What really matters to me? What really matters to us? And am I with the people that I love? Am I doing what it is that I want to be doing? And if I'm not, what am I waiting for? And what are we waiting for if the answer to that is no? And so I love it. I love this time right now. I mean, it's so intense and so live, but it feels like the shake up and wake up that we've all been waiting for. So,
okay, Eric, I need to have you do what you do best. You are so awesome at guiding people through yoga and breathing practices, and you are such a joy to be with. And so that's exactly why I wanted you on this show, so that you could bring that energy to all the listeners.
Okay. So having some kind of daily breath practice, I feel if I could share one nugget to all beings, that the most powerful tool I have in my Rainbow toolkit is breath. And, in yoga, that's called pranayama, and the practice of sacred breathing or sacred breath. And part of how that connects in this time as we're ramping up, keeping your nervous system strong, keeping your immune system strong, part of what the magic of bringing the oxygen in and feeling yourself on the exhale soften and ground. I mean, we all know that when we feel anxious, we maybe have a shorter breath, or when we feel really relaxed and really comfortable, we have a long sounding, longer breath. And when we inhale, we primarily are breathing and engaging through our nose, and that's more of a left brain kind of experience. And when we exhale and we're breathing through our mouth and out our mouth, that's more of a right brain kind of experience. That left brain will be logic, reason, ration. That right brain is more your felt sense of essence, sense of release, brings you into your feelings and a level of connection. So when you're breathing, you have an opportunity to bring your consciousness in with also then the experience of your body actually getting to relax and you getting to connect. So I invite everyone to just set a timer with yourself at any point throughout the day. Maybe start with 5 minutes, and you can do this while you're in the park or walking, sitting, lying down, laying in your yard, walking your dog. Just 5 minutes of conscious, intentional breathing. And a classic abdominal breath is an inhale through the nose, and you expand the belly on the inhale, contrary to what we were taught by doctors in the Western world. They, as children, we were told to take a big breath in, and then we pulled our bellies in, and then exhale, let it out. Whew. And then we took a big breath in, and we pulled our bellies in and tightened our chest and curled our shoulders forward just slightly, right? Exactly the opposite of actually how we're designed to breathe. So what I really would love to do, just a couple minutes of this breath practice, and then we'll do a little somatic breath practice. So this first 5 minutes is just a classical abdominal breath. Go ahead and just find yourself sitting upright and feeling your feet maybe firmly on the ground, and take a moment to bring the hands to the belly, letting the eyes close, and just see if you can feel your kind of energy moving in your belly. Feel the warmth coming into your hands, maybe feeling your toes kind of wiggle a little bit, and just taking a moment to actually letting your energy connect. Whatever kind of visualization works for you, if you want to feel yourself becoming a tree, just taking a sense of presence and an opportunity to drop your energy. And imagine you could plug your mind into the body, the spine. And if you could plug your spine kind of into the legs, and those legs are plugging into the earth, and feeling that awareness to the belly. And notice just your natural kind of rise and fall as your belly kind of expands and contracts without any real concerted effort, right? This beautiful opportunity to ride the wave of breath, right? It's involuntary. We don't need to do anything. It's being done for us. What a beautiful gift. And so I love kind of linking up my awareness, linking up my practice to ride that breath with consciousness, with intention. So perhaps we just put a little intention in there. Today, I'm breathing to feel more connected. I'm breathing to feel more awake. I'm breathing so that I may feel more present. Or perhaps I'm breathing so that I may feel more open, or feel more safe, feel more peace, feel more joy, whatever it is for you. And then maybe setting the intention as I breathe, I'd like to release any anxiety, or I'd like to release any fear, or I'd like to release any sense of powerlessness I've been experiencing, whatever it is that you might want to let go of. And go ahead and we're going to fill with breath on the inhale, and you're going to breathe in through your nose and imagine ballooning your belly like a big balloon as you inhale. Fill the belly. And then exhale out the mouth. And as you exhale out the mouth, pull the belly into the spine and imagine yourself kind of just draining, pushing everything down into the earth. And again, filling with breath, breathing into the hands. And exhale, softening, pulling the belly into the spine. Filling. And releasing. Just keeping that pace at your own will, rhythm, expansion. And relaxation, releasing. So breathing in more light, more love, more connection. And releasing any stress, any grief, any worry. Expanding consciousness, joy, possibility. And releasing fear, powerlessness. Inhale, liberation, beauty, life. And exhale, deepening my connection to the earth, grounding, safety, security, love. And whatever words of joy for you as you inhale, and really anchoring that on the exhale. Imagine that you could release any tension you might be holding in the neck, expanding. Releasing any tension you might be holding through the shoulders, and chest, and belly, and organs. Dissolving everything down, releasing, liberating, and imagine it just traveling into that molten core in the earth. Maybe breathing in a sense of gratitude for the earth, being willing to recycle everything that we're releasing and really just giving the love, giving a witness, giving a recognition. Thank you, earth. Thank you for the nourishment. Thank you for helping my body stay strong, helping my body stay supported. Couple more. And on the next inhale, you're going to fill with breath completely. Imagine breathing into the heart of the sun. Take a big breath in and hold the breath. Squeeze, feel your energy pulling into the heart of the sun. Light force, source energy, the sun that gives life to all energy on this planet. Squeezing, 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 thinking of the light force in your mind, in your heart, in the cells. And exhale out the mouth. One more with a sigh. And as you like, slowly, I like to bring my hands up and just snap your fingers around the skull, clearing your field. Imagine as you snap, you're kind of just breaking any kind of stagnant energy in your field, any old thoughts or any stagnation around the body and down the body. And then just kind of, you can sweep the body, like sweep the arm or sweep the other arm, sweep down the front of the body, and snapping and releasing, sweep the face, sweep the skull, just feeling yourself clear any energy in your field, pulling it off, any worry, any anxiety, and just feeling that deeper sense of self, deeper sense of connection. And from this place, just a couple more minutes. This next practice I like to call somatic presencing, or somatic kind of resurrection, and perfect for this day of Easter. So the somatic energy is just the felt sense of the body, right? The somatic energy is your ability to drop in and feel, and it's kind of the overall sense of the self. So your feeling body, your emotional body. I like to also reference that as the inner child, the part of us that learned how to feel and sense what's moving through us. So with this, I do a somatic drop-in. I try to do one every day or multiple times a day. Once I've centered through that classical abdominal breath, feel myself really rooted, just take a moment to feel in to what you notice moving through your body right now. Beginning first with physical sensations, maybe kind of noticing if you're holding tension anywhere. Maybe noticing if you feel energized or cold or warm. Noticing if you feel a sense of openness or a sense of relief or calm. Perhaps you notice pain or tension in places. And just bringing your breath will soften the jaw now. And imagine you could breathe just circular breath, and just go ahead and try to do it. So a circular breath where you're breathing just through the mouth, And it's an even inhale and exhale, like a perfect circle, just through the mouth. And as you're releasing, imagine releasing just any need to have control, any need to know, any need to figure it out. You have no place to get to right now, just to breathe and be and feel, and that it's all right. You're allowed to just be in this body and be in this moment, and just begin to notice what you feel and see if you can kind of welcome that. I like using the practice of unconditional welcoming, the energy that I'm going to just welcome whatever's in this body, whatever I might be feeling, knowing that I'm protected and held in a space of love, space of permission, and also presencing that we're on a learning curve. We came here to learn and grow. We came here to figure it out. It's not true that it's too late. It's not true that I can't take my power back. And feel ourselves sort of just dropping in with that circle breath through the mouth, feeling into the body, and maybe just feeling a hand on the heart or a hand on the belly, and see if we can just breathe in a little extra support, this feeling that you're not alone, and that if there's anything in this body, I'm giving myself permission to just feel and welcome whatever's in here, knowing that I have the tools to feel that it's my birthright and destiny to be in this body, and that I am worthy, I am willing, and that I am a being of love and light, and that if there's any stories that are running, any tapes that are running in my mind that would lead me to believe otherwise, I just invite some inquiry. Why are these stories running? Why are these tapes here? And perhaps are there feelings maybe trapped in my body that I haven't been able to feel? And just giving permission right now to just welcome whatever might be in here in a way that isn't too much, in a way where there's lots of grace and lots of ease. As I breathe, I slowly just let my body know that I want to hear from it. I want to know, I want to explore, I want to discover what lies in here. Last minute, just welcoming, imagine now just a calm river flowing and letting any energy that needs to flow and move through my body with breath, let it just move like a river, flowing from the top of the skull down through the body, releasing any extra fear, tension, pain, using my breath, using my awareness, using my witness, and really plug in to the energy of the earth, this beautiful revolving elemental planet, this elemental dance, and that all these elements are flowing inside of me, being of breath, being of electricity, fire and light, power. What a gift, what a miracle, and letting that move through, releasing, clearing, cleansing, allowing. And as you like, releasing the hands, visualizing your favorite color. Imagine your favorite color fill you from the inside out, and now from the outside in. And letting this be an extra coat of protection for you today. May you be sealed and held in the womb of your own love, in the womb of your own care and tenderness. And as we like, last moment, go ahead and inhale, lift the arms up overhead. And imagine reaching into the sun, open the palms wide, reaching into the sun, feeling the light perhaps beyond the clouds, or feeling that come into the hands, your favorite color, sourcing, pulling that in. And take a big breath in and wrap it around in a big shoulder-to-shoulder squeeze. You can hug yourself inside your social distance sphere and orb. Take a big breath in, extra coat of protection. Feel that energy. And release. Grounding back in, slowly opening the eyes, nice and easy. And just take in the room. Take in the quality of the room. If you're by a window, maybe looking out the window, seeing nature. feeling that connection, maybe noticing some natural energy in your room, any stone or plant, just earth. What a gift. And just feeling more rooted, more aware, more possible. And so, yeah, welcome back, everyone. Letting this be just a couple gifts for you. Keep your energy charged. Keep your light full. And remember that your ability to take your intention and consciousness and form it into a seed, into a dream, into a prayer, I think is magic. My favorite definition of magic, the ability to change consciousness at will. So we are willing our energy to feel and experience what it is that we would like to feel and experience, being mindful to not give our energy over to feeling and thinking what we don't want to experience, and that's what fear does. It hijacks us into projecting prayers that are backwards, right? I think that fear and worry is prayer in reverse, where we're giving our energy to what we don't want to have happen. And so instead, we welcome feeling that fear, we welcome feeling that anxiety, but instead we want to learn how to release it and we'll learn how to listen. So I love these somatic practices and breath practices as a way to take my power back, as a way to stay really strong and really supercharged, so that I may, help be a light in the world and help bring service to others and humanity, and also just to have more joy and more connection for myself, and the energy of how that connects me to the natural world. I think that's one piece, Geri, I wanted to share too. It's a great way to keep us connected into nature and to keep us feeling. If we're not actually taking time to feel into our bodies each day, how can we be expected to learn how to feel into the planet or feel into each other? So it starts with your own body, and then I like to do that in nature to remember, wow, what a gift that this life is and with this earth. And then how might I help, my fellow woman and fellow man and fellow child here, and the creatures, right? The birds and the bees and flowers and the trees. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was beautiful. And you have a class coming up. You want to mention that quickly?
Oh, yeah, Geri, thank you. So, my partner and I are launching an awakening series that's called the Alchemy of Self and the Alchemy of Self-Realization. And it's a year-long course that will be online. I, like you, was maybe sensing this time or something. I've been working on this all year previously and this year. So during this window, it's kind of been interesting that everyone's switching to online work because we were already launching this. So it's auspicious and I'm grateful. We still have some spots left, but it's going to be broadcast through Zoom, and we'll be sharing it from our home studio in South Pasadena, California. And the course is designed to be, there's 7 Sunday workshops. They're 3-hour workshops, and then there'll be 7 sort of integration workshops. And it will go from April 26th through December, and will be something that you can do in live time with us on Sundays. But if you're not able to attend the live course, there'll be a filmed version that we send to you that you can then do at home at some point within the next 2 weeks. And then there'll be the follow-up circle in 2 weeks and so forth. And it'll go through this series. And the 7 courses are sort of following loosely like a journey through the chakras, but not actually that sort of focused. But it's this idea of using the 7-part awakening series where we talk about, fear and security in the first, and grounding and connection, and what tools might we use, and then kind of go all the way up the journey. If you could think about moving from fear all the way up into creative liberation and living our best lives and our most activated lives. And it will use, we're going to journey through each workshop will have a somatic transformational breath journey at the ending, So we're using this really strong pranayama practice and breath practice as a way to shake up whatever's been calcified in the body and whatever's kind of locked or frozen in the body, and using breath to kind of awaken that after we journey through these various topics. And I'd be happy to have as many folks around the world that want to join us. You can visit, for more information, my website at rainboweric.com, and send me an email or just at ericwallace11@gmail.com. I'm happy to share more. Also, my partner, Stacy Matulis, her email address or her website is bencothealing.com, and there's a registration at bencothealing.com. Otherwise, shoot me an email through my website at rainboweric.com, and I'd be happy to connect more. I'm also on social media, just Eric Wallace on Facebook and Rainbow Eric on Instagram. So would love to share in awakening practices and their tools to help us in these changing times, and lots of really great work. And then the following year, we'll have a healer's training that this is kind of like a prerequisite for. So for folks that want to kind of become facilitators, if you've already been a practitioner for many years, or you want to use these tools to help serve others in this time, this personal work and this personal course will sort of serve as a way to, get into that and wake up to your own kind of light and your own power. So thank you for having me here today, Jerry.
You bet. Awesome. Thank you. Sending you a virtual hug to California.
Yeah, same. And happy day of resurrection, and hug back to you. And just, may your consciousness continue to bloom and flourish, and you get to share your love, light, and lattes with the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a great Resurrection Day and week. Until next week, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Jerry.
Oneness Talk Radio. Hip, fresh, fun. Tune in to an honest portal of positivity 24/7. Experience unique talk radio from all around the planet, perfectly mixed with music that enchants your soul. Discover oneness moments as you relax into 3 to 5 minutes of divine inspiration. Claim your oneness today. OnenessTalkRadio.com. One world, one voice. Expand your vision.